twilight blaspheming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say the last star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good evening, parents, families, friends, and fellow classmates. I would like to welcome each of you to the graduation commencement ceremonies of the class of 1990. Graduation has always seemed to be such a far-off date, a date in which we look forward to and dreamed about. The closer that graduation day has approached, the more different emotions began to arise. First of all, there was a feeling of excitement to finally be finished with school. Along with this, we saw visions of independence, finally escaping the reins of our parents and teachers. But soon, reality set in, and an uncontrollable feeling of fear and uncertainty arose. This fear is a fear of the unknown, a fear of starting over in a completely new situation, just as we had to do 13 years ago. But our new experiences will be much like the ones that we encountered those 13 years ago. Meeting new friends and leaving the comforts of our homes, just as we had to do on that first day of kindergarten. But with the help of our parents, we made it through those trying days, just as we will do with the challenges that lie ahead of us. Graduation day marks many things. It marks an end to a time in our lives that is very special. These past 13 years are the years in which our personalities were molded and our ways of life developed. Through our years of schooling, we've been through many things. We have had our disappointments, and we've had our victories and triumphs. We've competed in many things: sports, the arts, music, debate, and many other activities. Looking back on those, we do not count the number of wins or losses, or the number of times we've won an award or set a record. We look at what we've learned from that experience and how it has helped us to grow as individuals. All of the other things, those awards and records set, just symbolize all of the hard work that was put into it. Regardless of what material things we came out of each endeavor with, we all know that true victory is measured in the heart by what we have learned from that experience. Through our years, we've met many people, teachers, coaches, advisors, and friends that have greatly affected our lives. These people have helped us to form our values and have guided us through our tough times. Our teachers have put forth that extra effort to help us individually before and after school when we were struggling. Our advisors helped us to find solutions to problems that arose, and our coaches believed in us and worked with us, helping us to become not only better athletes, but also better people. Our friends have been here to laugh and to cry with, and to share with us some of the most precious memories of our high school career. There are also some people that we knew long before our schooling began. These people are our parents, the people that stood back and watched us as we grew, interfering only when necessary. They watched us make our own mistakes and then helped us to learn from them. And for the most part, they are the reason for who we are today and for who we will be tomorrow. Sometimes we don't always thank all these people, teachers, coaches, advisors, friends, and parents, for all that they have done with us. I suggest to each of the graduates that you thank these people, for without the support of them, we wouldn't be here this evening. We shouldn't think of graduation as an end. We should think of it as the beginning to our adult lives. Graduation is our gateway to the future. Once we go through this gateway, we will all go our separate ways to achieve what we feel is right for each of us. Our class motto is, "Let none choose the paths we will travel, for each of us must pave our own road." Each of us will pave our own road. For some, it is college, OTech, or the armed services. And for others, it is out into the working world. The important thing is that you pave your own road and do what you feel is right for yourself. From this point on, we'll face many important decisions. In making these decisions, we will look back on all that we have learned from our years of schooling and remember all of the decisions that were guided and sometimes forced by our parents and teachers. But all of that will help us to do what is right for each of us. Looking back on our years of schooling, the most important things that we have learned are not the math equations or the laws of physics. The most important things have to do with life, relationships, and how with hard work we can achieve anything we set our hearts on. We may forget those vocabulary words or the date that Columbus discovered America, but we will never forget all of the strong friendships we have built and all the people who have meant so much to us over the years. Before I conclude, I would like to announce the recipients of the 1990 senior class scholarships. The winners were selected on a basis of an essay that they wrote about their education at Osseo Senior High School. The winners of the two $500 scholarships are Tanya Gaffney and Kirk Walstoney. Congratulations to both of you. I would like to thank all of you for coming here this evening, and I would like to congratulate and wish the class of 1990 the best of luck as you pave your own road to your future. Thank you.
not too long to live as friends. With faith and love God's given, springing from the hope we know. We will pray the joy you'll live in is the strength that now you show. We'll keep you close as always. It won't even seem you've gone, because our hearts in big and small ways will keep love that keeps us strong. And friends are friends forever if the Lord's the Lord of them. And a friend will not say never, 'cause the welcome will not end. Though it's hard to let you go, in the Father's hands we know that a lifetime's not too long to live as friends. And friends are friends forever if the Lord's the Lord of them. And a friend will not say never, 'cause the welcome will not end. Though it's hard to let you go, in the Father's hands I know that a lifetime's not too long to live as friends. No, a lifetime's not too long to live as friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a pleasure to introduce the students of the graduating class who have met high academic standards and achieved the rank of Special Honor Student. Would these students please assemble in the center aisle alphabetically for us? These students have maintained a grade point average of 3.8 or better over the past 3 years. It is our wish to recognize their achievement this time by having them come forward and receive the Osseo Senior High School Academic Achievement Medallion. We'd ask that they would please come forward as I call their name. I will be assisted on stage by Dr. Marl Ramsey, Superintendent of Schools, and Lynette Moss, Assistant Principal, Osseo Senior High School. I'd like to ask that you please hold your applause until each of the 40 students have received their medallion, and we'll recognize them at that time. Laurel Ann Barrett. Sarah C. Bowl. Michael Dean Bork. Marcus L. Bryan. Tracy E. Carlson. Carol A. Corneliuson. Cynthia C. Cox. Natalie R. Insman. Kristen M. Freeman. Brian D. Getz. Todd R. Haig. Nicole A. Hagel. Todd M. Hedke. Walter T. Herbenson. Kui D. Ho. Rhonda L. Horn. G. Jimmy Ho. Elizabeth Ha. Danielle M. Jerome. Seth Trevor Johnson. Richard J. Gentilla. Nikhil S. Koletkar. Stephanie A. Kudek. Amy L. Miller. Scott J. Ninneman. Melinda L. Novak. Suin Pham. Cami K. Poland. Aaron J. Putman. Jason A. Rathley. Jenny R. Rao. Valerie E. Rusick. Janelle A. Skoglund. Paige C. Stevens. Kayleen K. Stieg. Andrea M. Stoner. Michelle K. Sweeney. Jennifer L. Wagner. Kirk A. Wellstoney. Janelle L. Williams. Please join in a round of applause. Thank you, graduates. The 1990 honor students, Osseo Senior High. This time I'd like to introduce to you another student speaker, Heidi Kopachik.
Golly. Standing up and speaking are two of the first things I learned in life. Now here I am umpteen years later and I'm still a nervous wreck. Hopefully that's not to be attributed to anything in my education, but rather to the fact that transition is the hardest thing for mankind to cope with. And we're up here facing a biggie today. As I stand here in front of all of you tonight, I can't help but wonder, what does the future have in store for us all? The thought is a little scary considering all the options open today. We've all heard talk of the good old days when a woman got married to a hard-working businessman. They would have 2.5 children, and every Saturday night they would watch American Bandstand from their modest suburban dwelling. Well, today things have vastly altered. Of course, we still have Dick Clark. I don't know if he'll ever be gone. But we also have career options, the endangered environment, drugs, nuclear weapons, AIDS, gangs, high cholesterol, and the freshman 15 to worry about. I can't help but ask, are 13 years enough to prepare us for this? You may be surprised to hear that the answer is no. But every house needs a foundation, every tree needs roots, and every fragile life needs some basic training. As I become a little nostalgic, I look back on the many phases of life so far experienced. Each of us started as that small child still willing to hold his mother's hand and walk to the bright yellow school bus that seemed at the time cooler than a convertible Corvette. That child then moved on to first grade, where kindergartners were babies and Scooby-Doo lunchboxes were a must. The parents were slowly left behind as the child walked alone in his new Nike tennis shoes, On to the years where teachers still gave smelly stickers for good work, and life was basically Chinese jump rope and Cracker Jacks. That child then moved on to junior high. The unforgettable years, in the same sense as when you never forget the bad taste in your mouth after drinking NyQuil. These were the years of dressing fluorescent, wearing makeup to cover the complexion suddenly gone mad, testing out sex appeal with the odd ritual of going together, even though I don't remember ever going anywhere. That child giggled in groups and tried hard to feel a part of a whole. It took a while, but the child finally made it to high school, as parents gave a sigh of relief and hoped that the 3-year revolution was over. It wasn't. Loud music crashed from the child's room that wasn't safe for human eyesight, and telephones seemed to sprout from untiring ears as car tires screeched and the child now became a stud on wheels. But as our years of basic education began to come to a close, so did our many fallacies about life. First of all, we learned that there really wasn't a 4th floor swimming pool at Osseo. But more important, we began to look beyond the crowds of senior hall and in towards the individual that each child has hidden away. That special identity is what growing up is all about, and in the hopes of developing this, parents have prodded us, guided us, sometimes bribed us. I think the adolescent term is nagged us. I, for one, do not yet consider myself an adult, for an adult is a person who has had many experiences and his or her own ideas and concepts. But today does mark the beginning for each of us to get out there in the real world and struggle to achieve our own dreams and our own identity. And as that small child of just a while ago takes cautious steps toward the future and gives the world a peek, it smiles and likes the view. So good luck to everyone in the awesome class of 90.
Many famous and not so famous people have been invited to speak at graduation ceremonies. Their words are meant to uplift the graduates and to lend prestige to the occasion. However, this is not always the case. As when Woody Allen once spoke at a graduation ceremony much like this one, and he said to that graduating class, "Never before in history has mankind faced such a crossroads as it faces today. One road leads to total extinction, and the other road leads to utter hopelessness. And I can only hope that each of you has the courage and the wisdom to choose the right road." I can imagine that there only could have been stunned silence in that room when Mr. Allen finished his speech, with hundreds of students, parents, teachers, and school administrators all listening in solemn respect, expecting the traditional soliloquy of fresh hopes, starting anew, and a road to success. But instead, I heard the famous humorist dooming them to a lifetime of misery and despair. I'm sure some of those graduates must have been offended or even outraged. Some may have been shocked, a few were indifferent, and a certain percentage weren't listening at the time. It may have been his purpose to ignite the anger and indignation of that graduating class. Indeed, he may have been using the logic of that age-old rule, the only way to get teenagers to do something is to tell them that they can't do it. He could have stepped up to the podium, cleared his throat, and said, "Avoid apathy," and returned to his seat. But he knew that a statement of this fashion would have followed a path through those students' minds that is normally taken by political speeches, speed limits, and parental advice. Mr. Allen's seemingly offensive remark was in fact a subtle challenge. He knew that those young adults who recognized his challenge and vowed to prove his words wrong were the people who were going to make a difference. The rest would follow the herd or fall by the wayside. But those who responded, the ones who responded were going to do everything they could to make the world meet their ideals, to eliminate that possibility of total extinction and utter hopelessness. When you do something, when you stand up and take action against those things that are contrary to your principles, you are doing more than just attempting to set those issues aright. Because your success or your failure is only a side effect of your effort to reaffirm your values. Because when you take action and nothing happens, you have everyone to blame but yourself. So when you make your demands on the world, you're setting the price of your own worth. Whether the price you set for yourself is a clean environment or $12 million in a Swiss bank account, those changes that you desire will make things happen. So be prepared to face the challenge and to make the world meet the price that you're going to demand for your abilities. Again, I'd like to say to this honored assemblage that never before in history has mankind faced such a crossroads as it does today. One road leads to total extinction, and the other road leads to utter hopelessness. And I only hope that each of you has the courage and the wisdom to choose the right road. Those are the two roads to choose from, only for those people who don't believe that they deserve any other options. For those who do, There's off-road driving, airplanes, canoes, and U-turns.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the students and staff, I should like to echo the words of President Carey and welcome you to the 65th commencement ceremony of Osseo Senior High School. Tonight's ceremony honors the class of 1990. This class, like all others that preceded it, is unique and special in its own way. The class consists of 630 individuals with different goals and different objectives, although they all shared a common goal: get here tonight. They also shared a special characteristic. As we watched the class during the past 3 years, it's called togetherness. Whenever a challenge faced them, they gathered their resources and they took on that challenge like a herd of mutant ninja turtles. Whenever a classmate was in trouble, they provided help and they provided support. They really cared about each other. I think that's evidenced in the remarks that they have made to one another tonight, the songs that they have sung, and the spirit that they brought through the music. This class is like all others, however, in that it received some great support from a lot of people that are here tonight. And when you stop and think about it, there are a lot of special people in this building tonight, and I don't think there have been this many special people in this building since we gathered here a year ago. Though we're here to honor the class of 90, I would like to have the permission of the class to recognize those that helped this group reach this ceremony tonight. Seated with the students in academic attire is a special group of teachers who have served as homeroom teachers. Most of them are the first homeroom teachers to spend 3 years with the same group of students. They gave help, support, advice. They're here tonight to say goodbye to their students and to read the names of the graduates from their homerooms. I would ask that they would stand so we may recognize them at this time. Homeroom teachers, please. President Carey referred to another very special group of people here this evening. The class of 90 would not be at all if it weren't for them. They gave life, they gave love, care, more love, tears, support, more love, guidance, and everything else that they could afford or could not afford to make it possible for the class of 90 to be here. And I would ask a special favor. Would the moms and dads please stand up so we can say thank you to you, please. And I got permission from President Carey to single out a special group of seniors. They're visitors to this country. They've come to take a look at America through a typical American high school. They came to Osseo Senior High School from Spain, France, Japan, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, and England. They gave us a chance to learn of other cultures, to have an international atmosphere. Would our foreign exchange students please stand? As principal to the class of 90, you look beautiful tonight, on this very special night. We're going to miss you. And I would like to, before you graduate, say that we appreciate the things that you have done for Osseo Senior High School, and to thank you on behalf of the staff. We thank you for the contributions that you made to your school and the recognition that you brought to Osseo Senior High with your accomplishments. No longer do people ask, where is Osseo? Now they ask, how can we be that good? We applaud your spirit of togetherness and the way you met challenges. We appreciate the way you care about each other. And we know that even though many of you will go in different directions, the relationships you formed during your years in high school will last a long time. We ask that you retain your spirit as greater challenges lie ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, before I formally present the class to the Board of Education for the awarding of diplomas, I would ask that you hold your applause and other forms of approval until the last senior has crossed the stage. Then we will acknowledge the whole class together. Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Ramsey, members of the Board of Education, Mr. Claire Coughlin, Mr. Adrian Olson, it is my privilege to present to you the Osseo Senior High Class of 1990. As principal, I certify that these students have completed the requirements for graduation from high school as set forth by the state of Minnesota and Independent School District 279. You may now give them their diplomas.
James Arthur Osrud.
Allison Adair Aluni.
Rochelle Faye Obley.
Anne-Marie Michelle Anthony.
Michelle Lee Abelson.
Kelly June Antonson.
Christopher Andrew Agan.
Andy Padilla Aquino.
Jensine May Alberg.
Brent David Arbuckle.
Sherry Lynn Albrecht.
Laura Jean Armstrong.
Tanya Marie Allen.
Teresa Ann Ashbeck.
Kyle David Anderson.
Catherine Joy Asp.
Sean Damian Anderson.
Stephanie Lynn Osk.
Shani Lee Anderson.
Sharla Jolene Backus.
Tracy Michelle Andor.
Peter John Ballinger.
Jennifer Mary Andreessen.
Thomas Harvey Banya.
Andrea Annette Annette.
Jennifer Ann Banko.
Troy Matthew Bednars.
Laurel Ann Barrett.
Michelle Lynn Belanger.
Heather Brooke Barrett.
Sean Walter Bennett.
Keith Michael Barry.
Jennifer Lynn Benson.
Bradley David Bath.
Diedrich Arthur Bett.
Sarah Jane Bather.
Jessica K. Berberick.
Jason Jack Becker.
Andrew Kenneth Berg.
Allison Ann Becklin.
Robin Barbara Berg.
Maria Milagros Cobos.
Thomas Anthony Bergen.
Joseph Daniel Leshek.
Chad Paul Burgo.
Kari Aline Bowe.
Brandon Wade Billman.
Brett Dale Bass.
Anthony J. Bills.
Dana Lee Bosey.
Krista Danae Birdsall.
Christine Leslie Bolin.
Susan Louise Burkles.
Rebecca Victoria Bulldog.
Sandra Ann Bishop.
Sarah Catherine Bowl.
Nicole Marie Braden.
Gregory James Bowles.
Christopher James Branca.
Kristen Sarah Boomer.
Stephen Richard Brandt.
Michael Dean Borg.
Thomas Arthur Grant.
Amy Suzanne Bourne.
Robert Joseph Branton.
Kristen Marie Bozer.
Shannon Nicole Braun.
Karen Louise Burke.
Joseph James Brazil.
Chad Donovan Bowman.
Shauna Jean Brendel.
Heather Lynn Boyd.
Brent Allen Briggs.
Lance Joseph Boyum.
Alyssa Marie Broden.
Molly Jane Cahill.
Robert David Brogren.
Lori Lynn Canfield.
Jonathan Michael Brown.
Christine Ann Carlson.
Sean Michael Brummer.
Lisa Marie Carlson.
Marcus Leo Bren.
Thomas James Carlson.
Matthew Charles Burke.
Tracy Elizabeth Carlson.
Benjamin James Burrow.
David James Casella.
Carissa Joy Buswell.
Amy Jo Chalupnik.
Jeffrey Lee Butler.
Jennifer Lynn Christensen.
Christopher William Cable.
Travis John Christie.
David Edward Cole.
Curtis James Sirhan.
Scott Bradley Coleman.
Garen McKay Clark.
Todd Brian Coleman.
Angela Catherine DeMars.
Shauna K. Colligan.
Kristen Suzanne Dempsey.
Judy Ann Conley.
Jeffrey Paul Demuth.
Robert W. Cope.
Jeffrey James DeWall.
Carol Ann Corneliuson.
Scott Allen Disford.
David Joseph Corey.
Brian Andrew Dixon.
Cynthia Claire Cox.
Kimberly Kathleen Doberstein.
Dane Michael Kramer.
Amy Lee Dobson.
Joseph Croft.
Brady Justin Donahue.
Jason Allen Cross.
Carrie Michelle Donner.
Paula Jean Cutler.
John William Dorn.
Denise Ann Dahl.
Jennifer Lynn Dovan.
Sean Teresa Dahl.
Mindy Michelle Drum.
Jeremy Kirk Davis.
Paul Thomas Dewar.
Derek John Durfee.
Patricia Elaine Dugan.
Juliana Susan Durham.
Bradley Earl Erickson.
Valerie G. Dezut.
Eric Allen Ernson.
Angela Marie Eaton.
Chad Douglas Evans.
Lorianne Ellert.
Matthew Douglas Evans.
Jason Robert Errett.
Chad Michael Everson.
Lawrence Richard Einberger.
Christopher
Travis Faulkner.
Christopher Allen Eisenberg.
Heidi Jane Firmstead.
Michael Patrick Elias Jr.
William Michael Finvick.
Kevin Troy Elliott.
Rob Jeremy Fisher.
Michael John Elliott.
Nicole Marie Fitch.
Destiny Dawn Ellis.
David James Fleck.
Tasha Therese Enningstrom.
Christopher Stephen Forbrook.
Natalie Renee Ensman.
Sharon Lynn Fossum.
Dawn Marie Erickson.
Kenneth Lee Freeman.
Heidi Lynn Erickson.
Kristen Marie Freeman.
Deborah Jean French.
Brian David Getz.
Lisa M. Bricky.
Todd Christopher Goldman.
Robin Ann Frizzell.
Kathleen Doris Gore.
Susan Camille Fritz.
Gary Richard Golden.
Charles Timothy Fritzy.
John Richard Goltz.
Christy Dion Fritzy.
Nabil Robert Gottwald.
Colby James Fuller.
Joan M. Grant.
Joseph Fulton.
Todd Russell Gray.
Tanya Marie Gaffney.
Kathleen Gwynn Greenwald.
Mark David Gaslin.
Christina Ann Greenwood.
Shanessa Kristen Gasner.
Tanya Lynn Greenwood.
Justin William Gaffman.
Jill Suzanne Gravoy.
Robert Allen Gendro.
Lee Ann Gropel.
Ramona Jean Jafir.
Brian Charles Graneski.
Kevin Daniel Gillis.
Jill Lucy Hechtman.
William Robert Gleason.
Todd Michael Hedke.
Joshua Jerome Goring.
Deidre Lynn Hale.
Jennifer Christine Goodman.
Dennis William Heinen.
Angela May Gustafson.
Jonathan Todd Hamburger.
Todd Ralph Haig.
Joseph Lee Heltmuth.
Nicole Antoinette Hagel.
Walter Troy Herbranson.
Jeremy Michael Allen.
Robert Todd Herman.
Angela Joe Ham.
Ronald Allen Hewitt.
Christine Paula Hampton.
Denise Marie Hildested.
Carrie Lynn Hanson.
Quay Dak Cole.
Patsy Grace Harlan.
Pamela Jane Holt.
Riley Theodore Harlan.
Paul Christian Holt.
Kevin Michael Harms.
Grace Elizabeth Hunt.
Michelle K. Harrison.
Jacqueline Ann Hussey.
Tanya Jean Hartke.
Lance Richard Herkus.
Kenneth Murray Hartman.
Lisa Ann Icano.
Bruce Aaron Hartung.
Lee Noren Iverson.
Shannon Patrick Haugen.
Billy Joe Jacobs.
Jennifer Marie Hawkins.
James H. Jacobson Jr.
Leslie Grace Hoffman.
Brent Andrew Jacobson.
Matthew William Hoffman.
Deanna Colleen Jacobson.
Hope A. Hoinville.
Paul Andrew Jacobson.
Elizabeth Marie Holmes.
Scott David Jacobson.
Douglas Wayne Holzer.
Don Doyle James.
Paul Matthew Holzinger.
Stephanie R. Jensen.
Amy Jean Handel.
Tanya Joe Jensen.
Christian Anthony Hoover.
Danielle Marie Jerome.
Rhonda Lynn Horn.
Matthew Lawrence Jessen.
Tiffany Marie Husted.
Carl Norman Castor.
Jen Leong Jimmy Ho.
Jesse Christopher Kath.
Jody Ann Hupenbecker.
Stacy Jean Kaner.
Matthew Robert Hughes.
Kimberly Sue Kelly.
Elizabeth Kyung Ha.
Christian Thomas Kendall.
Robert Paul Job.
Amy Elizabeth Kerber.
Lisa Luann Jagatki.
Scott Joseph Keelty.
Kevin Robert John.
John Richard King.
Cassandra Lizette Johnson.
Kathleen Ann Kinney.
Joseph Robert Johnson.
Carrie Michelle Kish.
Kelly Alexandra Johnson.
Todd Allen Clapperich.
Chris Robert Johnson.
Christopher Thomas Clemsrud.
Seth Trevor Johnson.
Joshua Todd Click.
Tracy Lee Johnson.
Maria Ellen Klein.
Troy Kenneth Johnson.
Jean Mary Klinkner.
Jennifer Lynn Jones.
Cheryl Christine Knight.
Eric John Jagowski.
Jennifer Louise Knox.
Richard James Gentilla.
Jeremiah Thomas Coker.
Vanessa Lynn Kolonowski.
Nikhil Srinivas Kolatkar.
Daniel Arthur Colvid.
Robert Stephen LaPlante.
Doug Colvid.
Charles Michael Larson.
Michael Lawrence Kane.
Jennifer Joe Larson.
Tim Jerome Cappers.
Carla Ann Larson.
Darren Christopher Carey.
Laura Larson. Heidi Catrice Kapachek. Leslie Michelle Larson. Jason Andrew Kopendreyer. Scott David Larson. Kevin John Kozak. Patrick R. Lauer. Jennifer Ann Kozicki. Sherry Lynn Lazerti. Michael Thomas Crisco. Rita Marie Latola. Trisha Lee Crone. Kelly Ann Lennox. Beth Marie Krutzig. Anthony James Lesh. Stephanie Ann Kudak. M. Pingo Lewis. Paula Ann Keene.
Alice Colette Bayou from France.
Jennifer Lynn Kunze.
Stephanie Behrens from the Federal Republic of Germany.
Dennis Philip Laughlin.
Richard Eric Borgreve from the Federal Republic of Germany.
Christy Ann Lane.
Mari Cho from Japan.
Robert James Lake.
Sven Tadeusz Grabowski from the Federal Republic of Germany.
Heidi Marie Lamberton.
Charlotte Kerr from Denmark.
Randall Jed Langer.
Fredrik Gunnar Larsen from Sweden.
Robin Martha Langer.
Kayoko Machino from Japan.
Trudy Ann Lands.
Antti Jyrianna Pentakainen from Finland.
Patrick Michael Lewis.
Jorge Perez de Zabalza from Spain.
Tony Ann Lyman.
Paula Juliana Galasa Ramirez from Colombia.
Timothy Joseph Lind.
Silvia Patricia Carrillo Sanchez from Mexico.
Nicole Elaine Lindemann.
Honne Skogen from Norway.
Kimberly K. Lindgren.
Virpi Marike Toivonen from Finland.
Troy David Lindsay.
Sophie Alice Toumieux from France.
Brenda Joy Lingen.
Carlos Antonio Flores Trejo from Mexico.
Gregory John Lohr.
Deborah Ann West from Great Britain.
Gina Louise Lombardo.
Brenda Ann Magnuson.
Krista Marie Longley.
Shannon Paige Mahaffey.
Troy Dennis Loomis.
Julie Cecilia Mann.
Lisa Marie Luce.
Tammy Jo Mann.
Brian David Lorenz.
Polina Markolova.
Gina L. Lozano.
James William Marshall.
Heather Ann Lotz.
Michael Thomas Makett.
George Emil Lucht.
Lisa Ann McClure.
Curtis Douglas Lundell.
Jessica Lynn McFarland.
Zachariah Elliott Lunston.
Kelly Ann McGrath.
Denise Marie McDonald.
Amy Elizabeth McLean.
Craig Allen McKenzie.
Jennifer Ramona Meach.
Martha Jane Madden.
Kristen Gail Moline.
Stacy Lee Meyer.
Janet Marie Men.
Jason Lane Myers.
Tiffany Raquel Mercell.
Alexander Nicoluti.
Julie Ann Neary.
Troy Jason Millard.
Jason Robert Neff.
Amy Laura Miller.
Beth Lene Nelson.
Heidi J. Miller.
Scott John Ninneman.
Jared Lee Miller.
Thomas Ronald Nitz.
Kimberly Ann Miller.
Rhonda Marie Netzelman.
Nicole Chantel Miller.
Rachel Ann Norquist.
Stephanie Lynn Miller.
Renee Michelle Norbaum.
Andrea Renee Mitchell.
Susan Elizabeth Noto.
Todd Wayne Monroe.
Melinda Louise Novak.
Michelle Lynn Maritko.
Christopher Patrick James O'Brien.
Kenneth Stanley Mosby.
Nathan Todd Odens.
Don M. Mosier.
Jeffrey John Olson.
Nicole Marie Mosette.
Patrick Robert Pavlov.
Carolyn Teresa Myers.
Paula Marie Feitz.
Christian Alfred Olson.
Jason Curtis Pence.
Jeffrey Mark Olson.
Michael Tony Peterson.
Wade Jason Olson.
Sean David Peterson.
Scott Allen Amundsen.
Briar Nicole Peterson.
Kelly Jean O'Reilly.
Christy Lee Peterson.
Jason Calvin Orn.
Michael Dean Peterson.
Carl August Osterlund.
Ryan J. Peterson.
Beth Julie Ostley.
Tiffany Gay Petros.
Amy Lynn Otten.
Zuen Film.
Sherman Troy Otto.
Michelle Margaret Fino.
John C. Otteson.
Shannon Lee Pickwell.
Scott William Parker.
Stacy Lynn Pierce.
Laura Marie Patton.
Jeffrey F. Pearson.
Douglas Robert Oates.
John Eugene Pearson.
Sarah Jean Pavlish.
Tammy Lynn Piram.
Sean M. Scott.
Jenny Rebecca Rao.
Cami K. Pullen.
Anthony Norwood Raymond.
Anthony Joseph Paluzny.
Christine Marie Rebling.
Rachel Heather Poole.
Christine Marie Riopel.
Tara Rochelle Porter Berg.
Kristen Elizabeth Rhodes.
Roman Stephen Postel.
Joanna Lee McQueen Ritchie.
Jason Lee Pritchard.
Nancy Ann Richmeyer.
Andrea Denise Prokopiak.
Eric Raymond Riley.
Richard Nels Freed Jr.
Tracy Susan Ringel.
Aaron James Putman.
Tammy Renee Roberson.
Jeremy Allen Queel.
Jennifer Suzanne Robertson.
Robbie Scott Rademacher.
Jason Daniel Roloff.
Lynn Marie Ron.
Kelly Nicole Rohrer.
Gary Keith Rayleigh.
Trevor Michael Rakusik.
Stacy Jean Renard.
Lance Allen Rosted.
Amy Celeste Rankin.
Jeffrey Richard Royal.
Lisa Marie Rasmussen.
Lori Ann Schreiber.
Jason Allen Raffy.
Nicole Renee Sherman.
David Fleming.
Jennifer Marie Schütz.
Keith Andrew Roseboom.
Julie Ann Schuster.
Chad Michael Rudkin.
Julie Ann Schwartz.
Amy Jo Ruska.
Stephen Kenneth Scott.
Valerie Elizabeth Ruzick.
Megan Marie Siebert.
Kelly Lynn Sable.
Scott Hamlin Searle.
Lara Elizabeth Sandness.
Nicole Renee Sealander.
Sharon Ann Say Hagman.
Rochelle Marie Senny.
Christine Allison Shadig.
Lisa Parmalee Shadova.
Jessica Victoria Schermerhorn Toohill.
Caroline Marie Shaughnessy.
Pamela Jean Schleif.
Christine Robin Gerard.
Richard Lee Schneckenberger.
Amy Catherine Chodine.
Daniel Allen Schneider.
David Anderson Sickles.
Gary Matthew Scheller.
Kirby Richard Seward.
Jeremy Keith Servey.
Kieran Paul Sicca.
David Thomas Sisterson.
Robin Lynn Stevens.
Janelle Ann Skoglund.
Kayleen Christine Stieg.
Jody Lynn Slack.
Andrea Michelle Stoner.
Lisa Jane Schlusser.
Andrew Paul Stoner.
John Jason Smith.
Kimberly Ann Story.
Mark Douglas Smith.
Jennifer Ray Strode.
Shiloh Lee Smith.
Sandra Ann Stroberger.
Andrew Clifford Snodgrass.
Heidi Beth Strong.
Jennifer Ann Snodgrass.
Chanda Danielle Strote.
Denise Lynn Song.
Nathan Gary Struntz.
Callie Rose Summers,
Michelle Darlene Stull,
Derek Christopher Sopland,
Barbara Ann Stuara,
Melanie Michelle Stainbrook,
Jason Richard Sunston,
Gail Tamar Steffens,
Amy Ann Supernut,
Joel William Stanmeyer,
John David Sutherland,
Ronald J. Steffen,
Jill Kristen Sutter,
Paige Colleen Stevens,
Cynthia Rose Sutton,
Michelle Kelly Sweeney,
Eric Howard Swanson,
Robert Scarlett Ruth Swenson,
Jeffrey Lee Swanson,
Robert Louis Tobacco Jr.,
Christopher Kane Tracy,
Tracy Marie Tawberry,
Darren Wayne Trapp,
Ruth Marie Tangen,
Christine Lynn Tremaine,
John Christopher Taylor,
Martin Scott Treptow,
Kelly Nicole Terhar,
Trish R. Tremert,
Danielle D. Thayer,
Corey Shane Turweiler,
Jenna Lynn Tice,
Aaron John Trosdig,
Lori Jean Thiel,
John Lawrence Trout,
Lisa Ann Thompson,
Shelley Marie Truey,
Jody Lee Thorson,
Tara Lynn Turley,
Jesse Carl Tunn,
Sean Stephen Turner,
Rachel Lynn Van Hofwagen,
Rebecca Lynn Twaito,
Michael Van Metren,
Lisa Udy,
Amy Joanne Vassell,
Nancy Carol Umland,
Jason David Dean Vecina,
Jeffrey Stephen Vala,
Juanita V. McCong,
Sarah A. Van Epps,
Michelle Barbara Vogt,
Arancha Lopez Pato from Spain,
Chad Cheryl Voigt,
Jessica Ann Wallace,
Villavan Boone Pashan,
Scott Douglas Walgren,
Kachana Borasane,
Sean Michael Walsh,
Ronald John Bosica,
Kirk Allen Walstoney,
Randy Earl Fatava,
Sherry Lynn Warsko,
Douglas Richard Wagner,
Daniel James Weber,
Jennifer Lynn Wagner,
James Michael Weiler,
Jody Ray Wallquist,
Jeff Darrell Weiss,
Amy Jo Walker,
Kari Ann Wheeler,
Christina Lynn White, Tiffany Noel Whitmus, Brian Keith Wick, Kyle Adam Wickland, Stacy Marie Wheely, Scott Edward Wiesinger, Bruce Allen Willett, Janelle Laura Williams, Marcel Anthony Williams, Sean Jason Williams, Michael Shane Winger, Michael Joel Winkleman, Tracy Rebecca Weisner, Jason Thomas Wood,
Suzanne Wood. Carrie Lynn Rasper. Michelle Lynn Yancey. Marnie Lynn Yonkers. Eric Todd Zolnowski. Christopher Gary Zurich.